Alright, good morning everyone. Welcome to the penetration test debrief of the Cozy Croissant. This is team 2. My name is Sarthak and I'm the principal security engineer on the team.
Hi, I'm Max. I'm a senior security engineer on the team.
Hi, I'm Kiri. I'm a senior security engineer.
Hi, my name is Annika and I'm a senior security engineer.
Hello, I am Daniel. I'm a senior security engineer.
Hello, I'm Ishan. I am a junior security engineer.
So let's talk about the engagement overview, so what we did in the last 2 days of the pen test. So before we tell you about that, our main goal when we were performing the test was to go slow with the environment and be as careful with the environment as possible, because we know the Cozy Croissant's business operation was the main focus, and it was very important for us to not disrupt that at all. Talking back to the engagement overview, that we were having 3 main goals that we had in mind before we start the pen test. The first one was to assess and evaluate the PCI DSS compliance, which regards to the storage of the credit cards, as it's a hotel industry, so should be storing a lot of critical customer data. The next one was to revalidate the past findings from the earlier penetration test we had 2 months ago that we did, and comment on that. The third one was the social engineering test. So we social engineered the Cozy Croissant's employees, and you might ask why we did that. Well, the simple answer is nowadays human factor might be considered as the most critical and most easily exploitable element in the security posture of a company. So we wanted to be as thorough as possible when considering the fact that Cozy Croissant can be attacked from many different angles. Next slide, please.
Alright, so this is a breakdown of the 36 findings that we discovered during the engagement. They are categorized by how we would prioritize them. Looking at the chart, we can see that around half of them actually are low or medium, and the other half of the vulnerabilities are critical or high. With half of those vulnerabilities being critical or high, that puts the overall health of the Cozy Croissant, the overall security health of the Cozy Croissant as being at critical risk. That being said, of those more concerning vulnerabilities, many of them are closely related, which makes it easier to remediate, and we have faith in the Cozy Croissant's security team in order to do those.
So before we move forward with our key findings and key remediations and recommendations, we just want to really commend the Cozy Croissant for stepping out and even having us here. It's a big leap, and we appreciate you allowing us to test your infrastructure. And also, we were very impressed with the speed that the executives worked with the security team from our previous engagement just 2 months ago, because over half of our findings were remediated. So that's a huge deal. And 14 were remediated and 11 still exist on the infrastructure. And we're really excited to show you our findings, because we know that the Cozy Croissant will listen to our recommendations, and we're excited to help the security posture.
For our findings, one of the major impacts that we saw was critical infrastructure. There were a lot of vulnerable machines that we saw that could cause immense amounts of downtime, resulting in financial loss and burden for TCC. Building off of that, there were a lot of vulnerable systems that exposed customer PII, continuing off of that, we found several violations of PCI DSS.
The payment card industry data security standard is a security standard that applies to all companies who process credit card transactions and lays out requirements for the proper storage of sensitive customer data. The Cozy Croissant is in a unique position, as in Nevada, PCI DSS is encoded in law. So we recommend prioritizing the findings that are not in compliance with the standard. Encrypting stored cardholder data and using the principles of least privilege and need to know should help remediate the majority of TCC's non-compliance.
Throughout the assessment, one of the largest findings that we found was the absence of a strong password policy. This came in as repeatedly seeing the same exact passwords being used across the infrastructure, and of those passwords, they were non-complex and guessable, allowing for us to get access throughout the infrastructure quite easily.
Insecure storage of personally identifiable information pertaining to the Cozy Croissant's customers was another high-impact finding. This exposure of PII is a risk to both customers and the company as a whole, as attackers could then use customer payment details and they could develop phishing attacks. This also means that the Cozy Croissant is not in compliance with PCI DSS.
Moving on to the last and the third key finding. During the assessment, we found out that the Cozy Croissant was running several of in-house developed web applications, and in most of those web applications, we found out missing access controls, which could lead to access to sensitive customer information.
So from these key findings, we were able to distill some recommendations for the Cozy Croissant. First, we would like a single sign-on system to be implemented in order to standardize authentication throughout the network. On top of this, multi-factor authentication can be built on top to add an extra layer of security. Furthermore, strong password policies can go immense lengths by enforcing passwords to adhere to NIST as well as industry standards and helping remediate those key findings. And then lastly, an assessment is only a single assessment. There still exist vulnerabilities in a system that are unrecognized by any team after a single assessment. We would like to drive home that continuous auditing is always best for the health of a company. And then likewise, we believe that a secure code review of the Cozy Croissant's assets would be in its best interest in order to find the causes of our findings, as well as to find new vulnerabilities that we were unable to.
Thank you so much for allowing us to perform this engagement on the Cozy Croissant. We look forward to working with you guys again soon. We will now open up the room to questions.
Cool, thank you very much. Question is, if we were to move to cloud, would that mitigate the issues you found?
So cloud is simply what you're running on. So you can have infrastructure that's physically secured, but ultimately it comes down to the applications that you're running. Several cloud providers can help mitigate issues, but ultimately it will come down to your own individual security team and being able to mitigate the problems that exist within your own infrastructure. Likewise, some cloud providers will integrate WAFs into the ability to make WAFs pretty easy, web application firewalls, which can help mitigate these attacks, but will not remove the vulnerability from the system itself.
Okay.
One question of the timeline. When you presented your recommendation, do you have in mind any quick win that we can implement like now, and something that we have to plan for later on? And do we need to have a special workforce to do that, or can we do that with our existing?
So, as part of our scope, we don't really know exactly the resources that the Cozy Croissant has, so I don't feel that we can do a just answer to that. We believe that mitigating the vulnerabilities as we prioritize them would be the best bet. I will pass it off to Annika because she has something to add.
So I'd say that the first thing that is across the board a pretty easy win, or like a baseline, would be to start enforcing password policies. So that would look like just adding characters requirements, maybe to be recycled every 2 months, so it would be a new password. So sort of baseline things throughout the system that would increase the authentication throughout.